So again, when we think about angiosperms, most of us think about what they provide for us. So remember previously I said that angiosperms are the basis of most of our food sources as humans. And so when we think about fruits and vegetables, we're thinking about angiosperms. And fruits in particular, when we look at them, we can see that they are a product of the flower. So if you ever wanted to figure out, well, how do I know the difference between a fruit and a vegetable is when you're eating the vegetated part of the plant, whether it's a root, a stem, or a leaf. A fruit is when you're eating part of the flower of the plant. So looking at this flower, we see that at the base of this flower, this is where the ovaries reside. And when these ovaries swell, they swell into what we call a fruit. So technically, when you eat fruit, you're eating the ovaries of a plant. Now, there are several different varieties of fruits that we see that plants can make. The first variety we see in the apple, the orange, and the walnut. These are what we call simple fruit. All three of these arose from one flower and one ovary that swole in order to produce these fruits. These are fleshy because we see that the apple and orange have a high water content, whereas the walnut is called a dry fruit. The next variety we have is when I have one flower, but that flower has multiple ovaries associated with it. This is what we call an aggregate fruit. So a strawberry, also a raspberry, is a good example of an aggregate fruit. So as the ovaries, the individual ovaries swell within the flower, they form one single fruit we call the aggregate. And then lastly, you will have plants where I have a cluster of flowers that all merge together into one single fruit. This is an example of a pineapple. We call this a multiple fruit. So when you look at this pineapple, you can see where the individual flowers and their ovaries were located because each one of these sections of the pineapple came from an individual flower. So the pineapple has a cluster of flowers in the center of the plant. When they all get pollinated and the ovaries swell, you get this one continuous fruit called a multiple fruit. And so those are different varieties of fruits that we see that arise from this reproductive structure of these angiosperms called the flower.